Hi guys, how are you? Bricks Nostalgia here. Today we're going to review this 1990 Lego catalog. In 1990 I was 7 years old, so I definitely have great memories related to this catalog. So let's get right into it, as also I would like, I want to try not to make this video too long. So let's get right into it. In these first pages we have an overview of all the various themes that go for directed to the youngest kids, to the almost teenagers. So starting from DUPLO, going through Lego City Train and then Technic sets. If we move to the following page, something I would like to point out about this catalog is that, as you can see, we move straight to the basic theme, and there's no DUPLO. Now, I had a look on internet, and what actually is the case for this catalog is that there's no pages missing. It was just simply printed, skipping about 6 to 8 pages, advertising DUPLO sets. There's other versions of this catalog that have also the DUPLO pages into it, but it wasn't the case for this one. So we're just going to skip and move straight to the basic line. This is the first of the two basic lines. This is for the youngest kids, the ones that go from 3 to 12 years old. As you can see, they're just pretty much big plastic buckets with ton of random bricks that do allow the kids to go through their allows kids to go through try to develop their first ideas. If we move to the following page, we find the second basic line, the one that go directed to older kids from 7 to 12 years old. As you can see, these are not anymore buckets, but are regular boxes with I would say a higher quality in terms of design and details for the sets advertised. Something I would like to point out is this big fire truck here, great truck that caught my attention a lot when I was a kid, as even if it is an oversized build, it uses only pretty much parts that come from regular Lego City sets. Like, for example, this leather here that you see is just one that you will find in regular Lego Town sets, and also this windshield was put together just using these two of these regular sized windshields that would be used for regular cars and trucks in the Lego Town theme. So yeah, I was very impressed attracted to the fact that with regular bricks, with the correct use of regular bricks, you could put together also these type of builds. Following page, we change the theme. We move to the castle theme. This is not the first wave of castles that was released in the 80s, but this is like 1 decade after already, and you can see that even things are a bit different, still they look great to me. There's a couple of very big sets like this castle over here and this other one over here. This one is more, the look of this one is more similar to the one from the 80s, as also it uses the regular base plates, while this one is more 90s also for its use of the raised base plate that will be used in various sets in the early 90s that I don't really like that much, because I wouldn't find it very Lego-ish. For the rest, some other interesting smaller sets and some small ships and carts, as you can see over here, for who wouldn't be able to afford the bigger ones. Over here we have a scene, a nice scene that doesn't advertise many sets, but that helps to stimulate fantasy in kids watching these or looking at these catalog. Over here we move straight away to Pirates. This is not the first year for Pirates. I think it was released between 1988 and 1989. Over here we have a nice scene once again, just advertising a few of the sets. Nice scene, not many details, but they did a good job, I think, putting these sets on a nice light. And here to the following page, we're still on the same theme, and we have the various sets advertised. There's some very iconic sets over here. The very first one being this El Dorado Fortress that I had when I was a kid. This wasn't bought by my parents, but I remember a kid that was older than me. His parents gave me his box of Lego bricks that this kid had and wouldn't use anymore, being too old. And I remember in that box having the incomplete version of this set that I managed to put together once again once I got into collecting Lego about 3 years ago, and I got such box out of my closet after something like 25 years or even more. This one is maybe the most iconic set, is the pirate ship. This has very little to do, in my opinion, with Lego brick building, but has a lot to do with modern, due to the high level of detail and precision in the look of this set. It's extremely expensive. I would like to have it, but it's extremely expensive nowadays. These what's the name for these things? These sails. These sails are extremely expensive and being very rare nowadays. A smaller ship over here, and some smaller sets as well, to give a more complete option, give more options to whoever wanted to buy them. Over here, another scene. This is a very good scene in my opinion, as it has a ton of details. There are maybe the 2 or 3 most interesting sets here, and there is a huge amount of details here, and I really like these a lot. I remember as a kid spending quite a lot of time looking all the various details, like the sharks over here, the various minifigs doing various poses. This is definitely a very nice one. Moving on, following page means once again another different theme. We move to the town theme, which was the most popular from those days. Over here on this first page we find the glorious monorail that I also had, that I bought when I was a collector, and it's an extremely very iconic and expensive set. Very expensive as it has a ton of very rare parts out of production. What I like the most, I didn't really like much the monorail running, as it was very slow and will run at a constant speed, not like trains where you would be able to regulate and change the speed. What I liked so much about this set was actually this station. The building experience related to this station was great, and I really liked that. However, I sold this set after messing around a bit with that, as I wanted to recover from the money and move it somewhere else. A very iconic airport here, released in 1990, as this yellow brick says on the top left corner of the picture. I dreamed of having this set when I was a kid, but there was no chance. My parents couldn't really afford big sets. Very nice, very well made set. Some smaller sets over here, and here we have on the second page a big scene where are presented the monorail with the various stations and the airport. Here you can see some diggers doing some works on the ground under the truck. And here is advertised the fire station, that my favorite fire station, that will be advertised, I think, somewhere here in the following pages. Yes, a few pages after. We're gonna get to that in a minute. Yes, my favorite fire station from those days. Let's move to another page, and we're gonna find some other themes, and I would say that this page is epic due to the presence of some extremely awesome sets from those days. Racing theme, we have mainly just a few cars. What is this? A racing boat and some other sets here. This one is the one that I would like to spend a minute. I had this set something like 1 or 2 years ago. I bought it as a collector. It's amazing. The building experience that goes into building this set and the level of playability really make it one of the most iconic from those times. Next to it there is also this one, is the parking and service center. Very iconic, fantastic, with this big parking on 2 different floors, and the gas station next to it. Insane amount of playability, extremely iconic for those days. Then we have some various tow trucks and a road. What is this? This is a digger with some lights and sound, with a trailer with lights and sound features. Big scene over here. This is another scene that I would spend a lot of time looking at as a kid, as it has a ton of details. There are lots of sets present in this picture, lots of very iconic ones from those days, and I will say that there's also a huge amount of detail, and it's a very live and nice scene, very vibrant, very live, very sunny scene. I do remember spending a lot of time looking at the details of this picture when I was a kid, like all these minifigs in all their poses, the cars, the police station and so on. Extremely, very well made. Following page, we got more sets over here. Police station released in the late 80s. This is I never had it as a kid, but my cousin had it. I do remember going to his house and see the set on a shelf and getting very irritated about the fact that my cousin had this set. He was never playing with that. I was the only one in the family that was a lot into Lego as a kid. My cousins and my brother as well had a few sets, but they wouldn't be so much into it or play much into it after building them. I remember this being the case for my cousin, having this set, putting it together and then leave it on a shelf, and not being so interested in the concept of Lego. Some more police sets over here, very iconic. This is the epic design from the early 90s that I'm so attached to, and that brings me lots of nostalgia every time I look at these pictures. Some random vehicles over here, very nice, very small. This one was very popular from those days, and I think also very well made, even if very simple at the same time. Houses, don't have much to say about this, as I never had any of these sets as a kid, and also I don't think I saw any on sale when I was a kid at the local toy store where I would go. Great hospital from the late 80s. I do remember spending a lot of time looking at this picture, as I like a lot the design and the ambulance as well. that make this set. An helicopter with the light and sound features. Here there is a small scene, but nothing to point out, I would say nothing particular. Here we move to the fire theme, let's say, and here we have the very iconic fire station from those days that I really dreamed of having when I was a kid. And what I liked so much was the color combination made of red and white. Red and white, that I liked so much. And I loved a lot the look of this truck, as it had a very futuristic truck, and for some reasons I loved it, and I would have loved to have this set. Some more smaller sets over here, and here there is a scene where present are the sets that we just went through, and a couple of boats as well here, one a fire boat and a police boat. The interesting thing about these boats is that they will float. At the same time, I didn't really like them much, because there will be a whole big piece here making the bottom of the set that I wouldn't find very Lego-ish, so I was never being very attracted to this type of sets. Trains, I was simply too young back in those years to be attracted to trains. Also, I knew already that there wasn't really the chance for me to have trains as a kid, as my parents really wouldn't be able to afford them. So I look at these pages and I don't really remember much about them, or I don't have many feelings about them. I do remember about this set as a kid. When as a collector I started going through all the old catalogs, I do remember I did remember about this set, but I wouldn't remember about this one, nor about the most of these sets, except this one. This one is something that I remember from childhood. These are the very glorious, iconic 12-volt sets, train sets that were put on sale from 1980 to 1990. This is the 7745, this is the 7735. I had both of them. I just sold them because I decided to switch to 9-volt designs from the early 90s. This is a great scene, with not many sets or much going on. I mean, with not many sets, but with definitely a ton of details, and it's a very nice iconic scene with two trains, the platforms, some smaller sets, giving more detail. Adding more detail to the scene, and a lot of details. This is a very, very nice scene, very nice vintage scene. Following page, we find more train-related sets, some other trains themselves, 7722 and 7715. Here is an old train station that I really didn't like much in terms of its look. But that's fine, it's a very iconic one, many people did like them. Some smaller sets over here, and here some accessories like the 12-volt train motor, extremely expensive nowadays, and some switches and trucks and lights, train trucks and lights to expand the size of your layout. On this page here it switches straight away to space. There's no pages missing, that's what I was checking. Advertised over here on this page, there is the Space Police 1 theme that is not advertised on the following page, but it's coming. So, Mtron, first year 1990 of the Mtron theme that was advertised as, I think it was, for what I read about this theme, it was supposed to be advertised as a space rescue theme, which would make much sense in my opinion, looking at this set. But also it was advertised, and this was in some countries. In some other countries, what are advertised as a mining a theme of miners or something like that, which doesn't really make much sense. In my opinion, looking at the sets, like for example, like this one with a big crane, and both these two with the big cranes, this could be a space tow truck, for example. I would, looking at these sets, I'd see them a lot better as a space rescue theme. Great theme. I had all of them. I sold most of them just for the sake of reducing the volume of my collection. But it's great. It's very iconic from the 90s. There's lots of people that have a lot of memories related to that. When I was a kid, I just had this one. So I really had to make up for the rest as an adult. This is the advertised here on this picture is the Megacore Magnetizer, which was the biggest set of the theme. This is a great set. It's a very nice building experience. And also it's huge. It's a huge set. Moving on, Futuron theme, a theme that I liked a lot because I liked a lot the color scheme of this theme. A lot of white with translucent blue. I don't know, I like it a lot. Somehow it transmits very nice vibes to me. This is the iconic Lego Monorail 6990 that was released in the late 80s. Very nice. I never had it. I'm planning to buy it in the future because I want to go through the building experience. Here are some smaller sets. Here we have the old Blacktron 1 theme. There's just 3 sets. There were more sets composing the theme. It's just that they were not on sale anymore this year, as they probably between 1991, yes, I think it's 1991, the following year, the Blacktron 2 theme will be released. So they were just, this year was a year of transition, I think. So only these ones were on sale. I got this one as a kid. It wasn't me, it was my brother, and I still have it built from childhood, and it's in my closet now in a box, and it's gonna remain like this forever because I find this set to be way too beautiful. And I think the design for this set and some others space sets from the 80s and 90s, I think it was inspired by some Star Wars, from the Star Wars movies. Space Police, the first theme, I think it's very, I like a lot the color scheme, I like a lot this theme. It's extremely expensive nowadays to get these sets, as the translucent red is not in production anymore. A lot of these pieces that you see here were produced only for these sets, so if you want to get these sets, you might have to spend a lot of money unless you are lucky to get your hands into bargains. Little scene over here, one more set here with lights and sound features here on the top corner, top left corner. Here we have a small scene just advertising the monorail and a couple of M-Tron sets. Here we switch, we move on from the regular Lego stuff. We move to the model team, which was a great theme in my opinion. I had this set as a kid as a Christmas present, and I have to be honest, I didn't like it. I think it's not a very good looking set, and now it's into pieces because I'm using the pieces to do other things. But some other theme, I will never tell my mom that I didn't like it, obviously, because she really put her heart when I was a kid into buying, every time she was buying a Lego set for me. So this is going to remain a secret between me and you guys. These two sets are extremely nice. This is a fantastic looking big rig truck with tons of details, a great look, a great design. This other one here is still a big truck, but with trailer and an helicopter on it. Honestly, the one I prefer the most is this one. I really like its look, and also that there's not too many things. This one is a bit too big, I don't know. Too big, there's too many things, and I can't keep up. My brain can't keep up. Technic. Technic in those years was a lot, the look of the sets was a lot more raw compared to the one, compared to the very smooth look of nowadays sets. But it was a great theme for older kids that would be into mechanics, as there would be a lot to learn from building and messing around with these sets. I wasn't really into Technic as a kid. I would find them very ugly. Also, I think as a child I would be more attracted more to the Lego Town themes, as they would have been the ones that I would be able to understand the most with my little brain. However, a lot of very iconic sets in this page, like this big car over here. And yes, this one was very interesting because turning the wheel you could lower this down. It would be a truck at the beginning, and then you will lower this torso on the head, and the thing will transform into a robot. Moving to the following page here, this is an interesting set because it's multiple builds advertised on the same set, and it also has batteries. It has a battery box in it, so there were also electric functions into it. So fairly ugly in my opinion, very raw design for the Lego Technic sets in those days, but a lot to learn and a ton of playability for kids that would be into mechanics. And these are another couple of huge sets and very iconic ones from those days. This is a kind of crane, and this is a backhoe, I guess it's called, that have these, they have the, what's the name of it, the pneumatic system, into it, where with pistons and pipes you will be able to move parts of these sets. Very educational, extremely clever stuff, and a lot of intelligence put into putting together these sets by the Lego designers of those days. Okay, we are towards the end. This is another set, always multiple builds that you could get from buying the same set. This one has, it's more, has the interesting feature of being able to program the movement of these sets by these control panel. And I never had a chance to get my hands into anything like that, but I'm kind of curious of buying something like that and put it together to see what this was what this was about back in those days and what it would allow to do. This was another very clever thing in my opinion, because it would attract kids to electronics. So while the previous Technic in general would attract you to mechanics, also the pneumatic system will show you a different way to learn about mechanics. This one was moving you, introduce you to the concept of electronics, and which would be very educational and hopefully very inspiring for many kids. Last page, last set. This is just relevant. Doesn't look like there is anything particular into it. And this is the very last page with suggestions to invitation to join the Lego Club, where you will get, I guess, some magazine on regular basis. And yes, and back in those days, the interesting thing is that to mention about this page is that back in the days there was no internet yet, so everything will have to be done by post. And here in this case, you will have to cut with a pair of scissors the part of the page, fill it up with a pen, and then post it to the address suggested, that is this one, yeah, this one, here in the UK. And this is it. This is the last page where it's advertised the last the Lego City, Legoland, the Lego City in Denmark. Something that a place where I would have liked to go when I was a kid, and why not? Maybe I will plan a trip to go to see it in the future. Never had a chance yet. I think I will eventually in the future. So this is it pretty much, guys, for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this video didn't turn out to be too long. So feel free to rate, comment and subscribe, and don't forget, yeah, so you can stay tuned for more videos to come over the next few weeks. Okay, so thank you very much. Bye bye.